So I'm talking about a toolkit that I introduced as a concept 2 years ago, and we've been doing a lot of development work on it. So I just kind of wanted to present an update with where things are and how it's going. Um, so this toolkit is designed to be able to move jobs between HPC resources. So just as imagine you've got a long running job. It requires, dozens or more nodes, and it could be weeks long. You're doing a serious computation. The odds of getting a single allocation on any HPC resource is very small, because there's, so many people who need the resources. And it could be days or longer between, chunks that you can get, those resources. So there's going to be a lot of downtime. Excuse me. Um, but what if you could, just stop the job at the end of your allocation, transfer the resources, and then just kick it right off again from where it left off? So you could even, so it might not be the best resource to use, but at least you're still running your computations, and then you can move it back when you get your next allocation. You can do this now, but it's a lot of manual work. Transferring the files, knowing exactly where you stopped, setting up the environment, etc. The aim of this tool is to utilize Parcel and Globus Compute to kind of help take care of all that nitty gritty. You'd only have to issue a couple of commands on the command line, and it'll take care of, shutting the job down, transferring the resources, and kicking it back off again. So there's multiple components to this. So you need on each of the HPC resources you may be using, you'll need, some variety of Globus Compute endpoint, because that's used for the communication between everything. On your home machine, you just need essentially this package, and it'll communicate. It'll submit jobs to Globus Compute, and use that as its communication infrastructure. It's aimed to be a fire and forget model. You send it off, and go off and do other things, close your computer, whatever, because Globus Compute follows that same model. And you'll need to have some way of transferring the files depending on what the HPC resources have. If it's through Globus, FTP, credentials, etc. And the transferring itself is handled by Parcel, but you have to have the credentials there so that you can transfer them. In the part that the user doesn't see, there's a SQLite database that knows all the information it needs about all of the potential endpoints. It tracks all of the individual jobs and tasks as they're staged and executed throughout the workflow, so it knows, exactly when you've stopped, what the state of everything is, so that it can seamlessly move it over to the new resource. And it uses YAML files to kind of control the job flow. It's really the main communication mechanism that it uses, because it's easy to pack it up and ship it off. One thing it does is it sees each of the Parcel tasks, so each of your instances of an app, it sees those as completely independent units, so that it can knit together the workflows as it's needed. So if you you've run partway through a workflow but have to move it, it'll essentially create a workflow that starts at that, where it left off, to the end. And so that's why it treats each of the individual tasks individually and knits them, essentially as it's needed for submission. So here's just a quick graphical, excuse me, graphical example of kind of the workflow. So at this beginning, send out queries to each of the resources saying, okay, who's available to run this, and you may have a preferred resource that has, a large number of GPUs or larger number of nodes than the others. And they send things, essentially send the information back of, yeah, you can run here, or you can't. And it'll look at, essentially your priority list of where you want to run it, and say, okay, well, I can run it here, sends off the job. And periodically it can query, say your preferred resource, saying, okay, can I get an allocation now? And in this instance, it's, that your compute resource 2, which is your preferred one, says that I don't have anything available now, so it just kind of keeps running on the resource 1. And eventually the resource 2 says, yeah, you can have an allocation. And the framework will say, okay, I can get an allocation into preferred resource, so I'll shut it down on where it's running now, transfer it over, and kick it off again on your preferred resource, and be able to move the job around as needed until the job's done, or you can't submit anywhere. If all the resources are busy, then there's not a lot that it can do.